One of the more highly anticipated sequels in recent years, Borderlands 3 is finally releasing on September 13th for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Quite a bit has changed since Handsome Jack's reign of terror, so let's take a look at the 15 ways that Gearbox Software's latest differs from Borderlands 2. Sliding and mantling. If you were worried about the movement, especially in this day and age of double jumps, mantling, and sliding, then don't worry. Borderlands 3 also has mantling and sliding, allowing you to smoothly transition to cover or hop over it in a hurry. If you mistimed jumps and fell into a ditch, just mantle your way out. Sliding even increases one's speed while going down slopes. Destructive cover and interactive objects. Taking cover in Borderlands may seem strange, but it was often the difference between slaying bandits and bleeding out in open spaces. With Borderlands 3, it's much easier to transition between cover, but cover can also be destroyed. Sticking in one spot for too long isn't advised. Then again, the same goes for the enemies, and it's a nice touch to make combat that much more dynamic as you effectively flush them out. Speaking of dynamic though, it's now possible to melee explosive barrels into enemies and detonating them with gunfire, or igniting oil with fire weapons to toast foes alive. Reviving NPCs and being revived by NPCs. One of the nicer gameplay touches is that NPCs can revive the player. This automatically graduates Claptrap from detrimental to almost but not quite useless. Of course, NPCs can also be revived in combat by players, but be careful not to expose yourself during a gunfight to do so. Instanced loot. Previous games made dropped loot universal, which meant you had to rush in and take items before your friends did. Thankfully, much like other loot games in 2019, there will be instanced loot in Borderlands 3. If you prefer a little competition during runs with friends, then there will be classic mode to keep the universal loot setting. Level scaling. Another welcome feature is level scaling. Enemies will scale depending on your level and that of the host. This means you'll constantly earn loot that's instanced towards your level. However, it also means that you could face harder challenges. As creative director Paul Sage told IGN, "Imagine you're level 20 and I'm level 30 and I come into your game and you're fighting a level 25 enemy. For me, that's gonna feel like a level 35 enemy. So it's all relative to how we're actually playing and what we're actually doing." Basically, don't expect to steamroll another player's higher level content just because you outlevel them. Multiple action skills. Previous Borderlands titles have always saddled a character with a single action skill. Borderlands 3 mixes this up by providing 3 action skills for each Vault Hunter to choose from. Zane the Operative can have 2 action skills at once with their own respective augments. Meanwhile, Mose can summon the Iron Bear mech, who has different hardpoints for weapons like flamethrowers, railguns, Gatling guns, and whatnot. Amara the Siren can choose 1 action skill, which can work differently and accept augments, not to mention changing the element of the skill. There's plenty of customization and depth in each skill tree, leading to much more build diversity. Ground Pound. Of course, one thing that everyone will have in common besides sliding and mantling is the ability to ground pound. Now everyone can slam down on the ground a la Borderlands the pre-sequel. Note that Amara's face slam ability is different in that it has more range, knocks enemies into the air, and deals more damage. So technically she gets 2 kinds of ground pounds. Alt-fire and multiple elements. We've seen a number of different guns so far, including those that grow legs and fire at enemies, along with smart pistols with tracking bullets. There's even more variety in store though, as many weapons have alt-fire modes. For instance, Torg weapons allow you to fire explosive bullets that are detonated through reloading. You can also switch between elements on some weapons, allowing for a crazy mix of possibilities. Radiation element. Radiation is the new element this time around, replacing slag from Borderlands 2. It doesn't provide any specific advantage against different health types, but does explode afflicted enemies when they're killed, causing nearby enemies to take damage and potentially become irradiated. Also, as long as an enemy is irradiated, they'll emit a constant cloud that can potentially afflict other enemies with damage over time. Think of it as more of a crowd control element than anything else. Multiple planets. Another big change for Borderlands 3 is the presence of multiple planets. You'll still be able to fast travel between stations as per normal, but you can also fast travel to other planets. The new planets in question include Promethea, a futuristic city that houses the Atlas Corporation, and good old Pandora, where the Children of the Vault are gaining influence. Players will travel between planets thanks to the new Sanctuary 3 spaceship, which also serves as a hub area. Recovering lost loot. Sanctuary 3 will serve many of the same functions that the Old Haven did in Borderlands 2. Players can purchase upgrades for their storage, open chests with golden keys, and purchase new items from vendors. However, it's also possible to recover loot that was lost from previous battles, not unlike Destiny's Postmaster system. If your inventory is full, will lost loot be sent here? That remains to be seen. Sending gifts. Another new feature is the mailing and gifting system. You can apparently send whatever you want to other players. This includes items like shields, grenades, and so on. It's also possible to send items with debuffs because why not? Pinging. The pinging system in Borderlands 3 still gets the job done. It allows players with the press of a button to ping different enemies, loot chests, points of interest like environmental objects, and NPCs. Voice lines accompany this as well, so other players will know what you're pinging. Guardian ranks. In Borderlands 2, players could complete different challenges to earn badass ranks, which conferred badass tokens. These could be used on different buffs like increased gun damage, critical hit chance, and so on. In Borderlands 3, there are Guardian ranks, which seem to offer the same kinds of bonus stats but can't be accessed until the story is completed. One thing's for sure though, Guardian ranks are shared between characters, thus making it easier to level up alts with the bonus stats provided. Matchmaking changes. Matchmaking has seen some very welcome changes in Borderlands 3. It's now asynchronous, allowing you to play while waiting to be matched with others. Matchmaking will also seek out players who have the same amount of story progress or in the same mode for convenience's sake.
And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, please hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to switch on the notifications bell icon next to it. That way you'll never miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching.